Baby, no listen to no fake news, them can't. Could hold it out and them never fake news. Notice say I just be a bad bitch, I get forward from with you. But the one you have be good girl them. She never did a pictures, I rate it. Never did a pictures, half naked. Me never did a piggy or ratings halfway, that's why me give her ratings. She never did a pictures, half naked. Never did a pictures, I rated. Me never did a piggy or ratings halfway, that's why me give her ratings. I know every girl I wife material. I know every girl forget the juice in my seed bag. I know every girl me trust to cook my food, nor boil my tea, not even put the milk in the cereal. Me like a catty when me dival. When no fi wash for cook fi clean and no fuss. When she hear me get a new girl, I know that me mean when me say me fight me demons. Multiple wife legally, no illegal. Yeah, straight, me go crazy. I know every catty can be my first lady. I know every press plus body done pay fi plus Tatiana no fit in a no Mercedes. When me say oh luxury dolly fi nurse baby, a trouble when luxury dolly turn old lady. So big up every girl when don't lazy. Your body big, but your mommy donate it. I rate it. Never did a fi dress half naked. Me never did a fi give her ratings halfway, that's why me give her ratings. She never did a fi dress half naked. Never did a fi dress I rated. Me never did a fi give her ratings halfway, that's why me give her ratings. She now wait pan money for reach her and donation. She make reach her man donation. 100 and run, but he waste gal a tell her fi leave her man, but she stay strong. She know say them are no friends, them are haters. Them sleep with every man in a the acre. Can't get nobody fi stay long and want the advice for relation. Baby, no listen to no fake news. Them can't keep a man cause them never stay true. Could hold it out and them never pay dues. Never shut them out and them wicked and cruel, eh? Bag a man a rush but them just a get yours. Everything them have them did a fear blows. Instagram live them nude for the views. Baby that I know you though. Sure, I rate it. Never did a pictures half naked. Me never did a piggy or ratings halfway, that's why me give her ratings. She never did a pictures half naked. Never did a pictures I rated. Me never did a piggy or ratings halfway, that's why me give her ratings. One wish.
Yeah. I want West in I place once more, yeah, easy. You wanna know where me come from? You wanna know where me come from? I believe. You wanna know where me come from? I don't pan the Middle East, but y'all out the West one give the kid peace. Me step over to pretty Christine. A big broad smile and giggling teeth. Have a brand new 4-5 pretty crisp clean. Me deal with the chica press pretty pristine. Them say them bad but we no intrigue. If you this now your top 10 killing increase. We no join both sides. One West are the best you fi know boy. You put a S on your chest when the chrome pine. Every bone a broke when left lone tribe. They go force right boy if you know your size. Don't see me on the street and a force fight. You get ratchet knife in your throat pipe. Man who make your job flesh like your ghost rise. Give up the ghost, make it both wife. Y'all shut up, bend over, pan to a pint. Fuck you, make you get wet like a boat ride. If you hold tight, y'all, me a hold tight. Alright, no later, then more time. Me have things to do, but got more fight. No give it the nanny, girl, do a bright. When we shoot the bumbo clad, you grind. That's where me come from. I don't pan the Middle East, but y'all out the West one get the kid piece. Me step over to pretty Christine. A big broad smile and giggling teeth. Have a brand new 4-5 pretty crisp clean. We deal with the chica press pretty pristine. Them say them bad but we no intrigue. If you this now you top 10. Yeah, them too bad, I just mouth them off, I just slogan. You coulda big and tough like Hulk Hogan. You get your own a bag, you get total. Send your soul to God, the best no God. The whole fucking clip of your own dad. No consent, no chop of your own bat. I go get sent off, we run postal. Get a PO box. She say me handsome, she want hold me cocky at ransom. She want hood fi broke, she want yam some. She say breed me, give me that one son, boy. We have shotgun, we have Remington, we have Magnum. So if a beef you want, you can have some. Anything we come turn in a phantom. How where we come from? I don't want the Middle East, but y'all out the West one get the kid please. Me step over to pretty Christine. A big broad smile and giggling teeth. Have a brand new 4-5 pretty crisp clean. We deal with the trigger press pretty pristine. Them say them bad but we no intrigue. If you this now you attack them killing increase.
Shalom, Israel. It's that time again. The I.S.U.P.K. under commanding General YAHANNA presents the Lord's 57th annual Passover. That's right, the Lord's 57th annual Passover, April 4th, 2026 in Houston, Texas. All black Hispanics and Native Americans are commanded to observe the Lord's Passover. This will be the biggest Passover to date. You do not want to miss this. Fresh lamb, fresh wine, and bitter herbs as commanded by the Most High. Only $200 per person, ages 17 and up. The biggest event of the year. There is only one Passover, and it's under commanding General YAHANNA. See you there, Israel. Shalom.
Nobody else there to compare to. Train for war, men of war, and war like apparel.
The I.S.U.P.K. presents the Lord's 57th annual Passover, April 4th, 2026 in Houston, Texas. You do not want to miss this one, Israel. Shalom.
Hey, listen, brothers and sisters, man. If you like what you hear, hit the subscribe button, man. Subscribe to this channel. And also, please, go to isupk.com and pay your tithe. Drop me some cash so we can move around this planet like we need to, man, and do the things we need to do.
They're one west.
Hey, Shalom, Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Shabbrakatam to all the brothers, Yahweh Shamar, Latan Ba'Hashem, Yahushua to all the sisters. I'm Priest and Officer 500 Barak Yalla with the I.S.U.P.K, which stands for the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General YAHANNA. You understand, since 1969, we're teaching you nothing but the truth about the identity of the real biblical Israelites who happen to be so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians, descendants of slaves in the Americas and the Caribbean. You understand? We've been teaching you the truth about your identity, your language, your culture, and just like every Sunday evening, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, your history. I'm about to get into the history of a custom that I don't even want to say mostly, but a tribe in particular is known for, which is the tribe of Benjamin, but all tribes really partake in this, right? And this the dark history of Carnival, which down there in Louisiana, shout out to Officer Madabar Yabashashabakata and Israel Zamana Yahushamata Bashim Yahushai, they call Mardi Gras, right? And really, just the name of it should be a telltale sign that we should not observe it. Why? Because Mardi Gras is French. And if you know the dark history of Louisiana, Louisiana was named after King Louis XV. You understand? Unfortunately, we think there's a bad, association with Fleur-de-Lis or the Lily, Karawakan. So I'm going to send the link in the chat. There's a bad history of, we think there's a bad, link with the history of the Fleur-de-Lis or the Lily because we were branded with it. Little is known that the French appropriated themselves the lily since what? Right after the Byzantine Empire, after King Charlemagne, who was a black man. You understand? All these Europeans appropriated a lot of stuff that we see as bad, like the Fleur-de-Lis, for example, which is the sign of, New Orleans, the New Orleans Saints, Quebec, France, right? We have Officer Madabar joining us Y'all may not be able to see him, but y'all can hear him. So we're gonna fix that issue next time. Hey, shalom, say about Shabrakatah. What's going on, Adawan?
How about you, what's going on with you, man? Just journeying. You know, I see you talking about Carnival and everything. You know that's going on right now out here.
Damn right. And this is the season. And listen, a lot of people think the only pagan festival that our people are about to observe is Valentine's Day. We'll get into that probably like next week. And it is no different. It all comes from the oppressor, and everything, as we're about to see today, that it originates, from Babylon, from Egypt. And it was just rebranded as a new pagan holiday under a different name, serving the exact same pagan god. Just like Christmas. You understand? Just like what else? Modern day Easter, which really is the Passover. Right? But they all rebranded Easter after the goddess Ishtar. We're about to realize that really everything that we celebrate, we adopted from our oppressors, and it all relates to paganism. You understand? Not a ba, shalom, Yahweh Shemala, Thaba, Hashem, Yahweh Shai, the word for tuning in, sis. So we're about to get into it. But first and foremost, let's understand this. There's always a tragedy at Carnival. It don't matter if you get stomped out, sisters out here dancing half naked, getting sexually assaulted, brothers unaliving each other. It's always something bad happening, whether it's in Louisiana, in the Caribbean, in Brazil. Damn near the biggest carnival, if I'm not mistaken, is in Trinidad. At least it's the most popular. Then you have Nottingham in the UK. Good night. Toronto is about to be lit up. From February to late August, our people is going to parade half naked, jamming to Benjamite music mostly. Soca, dancehall, jab jab. For all my Grenadians who don't know what jab jab means, we're about to get into it. And we think really it celebrates, and that's diabolical that it starts in February in the so-called Black History Month. We think it celebrates the emancipation of slaves. About to get into it, that slaves were not even allowed to celebrate Carnival in the first place. They were not. They were forbidden to celebrate Carnival. And when the devils got Kawaka,
If I may, they started celebrating out here January the 6th, all the way into the middle of February.
Good night. Yeah, this started early. You understand? Soon as after they done worshiping a two-faced Roman homosexual god, they turn around and parade half naked down the street of Louisiana until mid-February. This is diabolical. And this also shows that that we go through the same oppression, whichever tribe, we follow the same exact things. Like y'all think y'all special following Egyptology. Mexicans were worshiping the new version of Anubis from the time they came over here, the Cholo dog. Look it up. Everything we did in Egypt, we're doing today. And this is why we're cursed today. You understand? The Most High said, don't follow after any other God but him. And we do the total opposite, and then we complain, why is God doing me like that? Because he don't listen. He said, don't do what you're doing wrong. And you're eating pork. You're a homosexual. You're a whore. Name it. Everything you're not supposed to do, you're doing. And then you complain that, your life is in shambles. Your life is in shambles because you were told not to eat pork, and you're, bragging about making the best chitlins on the planet. And then you complain that, high blood pressure runs in my family. Of course, because pork eating runs in your family. That's the only reason why. You understand? Y'all complaining about, the Black community, we need to do something about AIDS and the monkeypox. Yeah, it's called stop being a homosexual and a whore. Like as if it's complicated to follow the laws. Let me bring that up real quick, and then we'll get into the PowerPoint today, right? What is it? 1 John chapter 5 and 3, which is in perfect precept for Valentine's Day. You understand? Let's even start at verse 2. Salakia. Let me share my screen real quick. Any questions, comments, put it in the chat. Click on the sign in and sign out link. If you want to be in the school, we're live on I.S.U.P.K Montreal, Toronto, I.S.U.P.K La Puraneta on YouTube, and I.S.U.P.K Canada, Montreal, and U.P.K La Puraneta on Facebook. There is no excuse for you to not be in class. If you're able to spend 24 hours, 48 hours parading outside half naked, you should be able to have what? An hour and a half, 2 hours to tune into class and change yourself. It's a lot. This is the book of 1 John chapter 5 and 2. It says, by this we know that we love the children of God. All you, especially so-called Christian Catholics or whatnot, that are half naked in the streets till what, mid-September, parading for Carnival, y'all claiming to be the children of God. And by this we will know that you love who you claim to be the children of God. When we love God and keep his commandments. This is how you know you love the children of God, by loving the Most High. How you love the Most High? By keeping his commandments, his laws, his statutes, which includes not worshiping another God, which is what Carnival is all about. It has nothing to do with black people. It has nothing to do with Hispanics, with the tribe of Asher, the Brazilians, with the Judites down south of Louisiana, and the Gadites and the Reubenites. It has nothing to do with us. Let's keep reading. For this is the love of God, and this is the love of God. You understand? That we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. It's not hard for you. It's not, listen, it's not difficult for you to just put some clothes on, and you want to jam to music every day. Don't wait for Carnival to jam to music. And a lot of y'all are disgusting and sodomites. I'm going to tell you now, right? Y'all walking up and down the streets whining with these girls who are not biological females. Let me tell you that right now. And your woman is out here whining on another man's crotch, jumping from crotch to crotch, thinking, well, it's just music and Caribbean culture. It's not. It's whoredom. Imagine having your woman, shaking her ass, salaka, shaking her backside on another man's rod, jumping from rod to rod, what, the whole month of February, going from island to island. Y'all treating penis like stepping stones. That's diabolical. And this is the problem in our community. We complain about the black woman is not protected. She puts herself out here like that. And this is not me blaming black women, right? Because in order for our women to be led right, they need a proper leader, which is going to be the man. But these niggas don't know better either. How do we know? Because they're parading half. Listen, have you seen the costumes of Carnival? Like, we think our sisters are whores. Have you seen the man? You would clearly say they're homosexuals. I don't care if you're whining with 5 different women, whether they have men or not. The way, what does the Bible says? I'm just paraphrasing in the Apocrypha, right? The countenance or the way they walk, right? The way they carry themselves. You could tell who they are. Let me see if I could pull up a picture, and then we're going to go into the PowerPoint, right? Salakia. And of course, if you want to chime in at any moment, I don't want, say less. Good night. This is nefarious. I don't know if I could zoom in. This nigga is good night. This is how you dress as a man. I don't care if it's in private. Salakia. You look like a peacock. A half-naked peacock is diabolical. This is what y'all dress as for Carnival? And you're going to make people believe that, you're straight because you get, man, them get gals, y'all gallus. Listen, you're a full sodomite. I don't care about no half. There's no such thing as half. You're a full sodomite. You understand? Because how are you going to parade like this half-naked in the streets? I don't know how is it down there in Louisiana, right, for Mardi Gras. But I know that Caribbean men are actively dressing like that and claiming, they're straight. There is nothing straight about this. This is effeminate. Effeminate beyond belief. Now let's see if we can see for women in Brazil. So women in Brazil are wearing like nothing. This is how y'all dress like. A lot of them have body paint. You understand? We're not going to show the most explicit costumes, obviously. That's not the point. The point is y'all dress like whores and homosexuals because you're celebrating the custom and culture of your oppressor. That's it. Now let's get into the PowerPoint, and we're going to go into the origins of Carnival, of Mardi Gras, right? me share my screen 1 second.
Salaki, it was heavy what you said, how they dress. Shit, they dress like that everywhere.
Good night.
It'd be the same thing out here for Carnival and everything. You know, they worshiping they fake guys and everything, dressed like whores, men dressed in they stupid ass costumes and everything.
And you know what's diabolical? Because Mardi Gras costumes, right, are closer to the original costumes of the celebration of Carnival. Y'all about to see that right now. Let me share my screen. Go into the PowerPoint. Again, questions, comments, y'all put it in the chat. So we get into the dark history of Carnival. And obviously, like I told you, everything stems from what? It stems from Egypt. It stems from Babylon. It was just rebranded over time. No empire today has an original foundation outside of the Israelite empire, Israelite society. All these other empires copied from the previous pagan empire. Rome copied from Greek, copied from Egypt, copied from Babylon, the Sumerians, so on and so forth. There is nothing new under the sun. There is nothing original from these empires. What, they speak a different language, they rename their gods. The key word is to rename, is not to name it. And even that's diabolical for you to name your God as opposed to the God naming you. That's crazy. But here's the point. There is nothing new under the sun. What's being done today has been done from thousands of years ago. And none of these practices belong to the Israelites. And we are forbidden to follow after our oppressor, to follow after these heathens. But let's get into this, right? So Carnival was firstly introduced as a pagan festival in ancient Egypt to usher out winter and celebrate the beginning of spring. It was called Sham el-Nasim, however they pronounce it. Again, everything revolves around the winter solstice, the summer solstice, spring. And it's going to be what? It's going to be, again, this it's really every single pagan celebration we realize has one thing in common, right? It's all about fertility and being drunk. They are drunk in sexual deviance. If you notice a pattern with every pagan festival that our oppressor follows, that we adopt from him, it's all about being drunk and having orgies. Salakia, that's a fact. At the time, winter was thought of as the reign of the winter spirits. These needed to be driven out in order for the summer to return. Carnival was regarded as the first spring festival of the new year. You understand? In order for life to come back, they had to celebrate a spring festival of the new year. You understand? Letting you know what? That they're getting ready for the new year, spring. Meaning what? January the 1st is not the new year. That's what it means. And then again, we're about to see that even the term carnival, it comes from carnevale, to let go of the meat. Pause. This is, damn. This is what you mean to tell me that you have naked men are parading down the street to let go of meats? Damn. Salak, that's diabolical. We don't see anything wrong with that.
And that's crazy. And like 8 years ago, I looked up the origins of Mardi Gras, and they showed a picture with a YT man and all them in there having one big ass orgy with masks on their face.
And exactly. That's why I was saying Mardi Gras in Louisiana is closer to costumes to the origin of Mardi Gras, which was brought by the French, by the way, right? Who adopted it from like the Roman Catholic Church. Because that's what they used to do. They used to be masked up. Like y'all think today, y'all think today it's like you hear about the Epstein files and Diddy and the freak-offs. You adopted that freak-off culture from your oppressor. Carnival is basically a freak-off. That's really what it is. A freak-off from the Roman Catholic Church. Literally. Right. And we all know that all those pagan practices that the church incorporated in their religious ideology, which the for whatever reason, they just took the Bible and trying to link the Bible to it. They adopted it from the Greeks, the Egyptians, as we're seeing. Nothing is new. It's all the same pattern. It's all the same exact thing. So I see you unmuted yourself.
I was gonna say, and if you look at it too, they worshiping all these pagan gods because they got all these different floats, the Zeus and everything else like that. Bunch of pagan gods.
Damn right.
That's what the parades is when they set up them big ass floats and everything. They got all those pagan gods up there.
Absolutely. Karawakan. And real quick, before we get to the next slide, I just want people to notice that the Egyptians right here are portrayed as dark-skinned people. Moses and Paul were mistaken for Egyptians. So I'm going to leave it right there. Salak. The Jews are black. Go to the next slide. So many centuries later, after Alexander the Greek, I ain't going to say the Great because it was nothing great about him, had conquered Egypt, the ancient Greeks adopted the festival. We brought this out already last couple weeks ago, where what? Under the Greeks, we were forced to adopt Greek culture. We celebrated Carnival from under the Greeks, not even from after slavery. Then they didn't even allow us to celebrate Carnival, which it don't matter whether we do it or not. We should not do it. But from the Egyptian, it was adopted by the Greeks. Is it surprising that the Greeks like to be drunken sexual deviants? Absolutely not. They legalized homosexuality and pedophilia and only kept women around for breeding purposes. You understand? But this has nothing to do with you. The Romans copied the festival from the Greeks and called it Bacchanal, after the god Bacchus, and celebrated it with plenty of wine, dancing, song, and generally excessive behavior. It is not a coincidence that every Benjamite song for Carnival, you hear Bacchanal, and they have drunken, lewd behavior and dancing and making songs about it. Like, you think it's just a Caribbean thing to just make songs about Carnival. We just copy after the Romans who made songs about Carnival. They implemented the songs and the dancing and the excessive behavior. They were just doing the most. The Greeks adopted from the Egyptians. They're already deviants and insane. The Romans, they just amplified it. And we think, no, it's Caribbean culture. No, soca. No, pasa, jab. It's not. We made it popular. We make everything popular. Listen, we make everything popular so much so that now everybody wants to be a drug dealer. Like, we promote drug. We never promoted drug dealing. When you come to look at hip hop and everything, we speak about the oppression, what we have to do to come out of oppression, not because we like it. Who likes to be a criminal? Who likes to go to jail? Today, make it seem like it's a trend to be a YN, go to jail, carry switches. I never heard of switches before, like the new generation. People had extendos and stuff like that. You know, you never hear of switches before. But we make everything look cool. You know, so much so that, guess what? There's a new term called the YCs, the young crackers. It's cool to be a YN, so they have to become young crackers. You know, French Montana made a whole brand called Coke Boys. Like, it was cool to be associated with coke dealing. He only got that because of the oppression that the brothers in New York were under. Bacchanal, that, how can I say it? The content of soca music for Carnival doesn't come from us. We just popularized it. That's really it. You could tell that to all your Benjamite friends, especially those from the smaller islands like St. Vincent, Grenada, Trinidad. You know, it has nothing to do with us. Like, ask them where Bacchanal comes from. They don't even know it's the worship of the Roman god Bacchus. Let me see if I can find a picture of that god. I'm pretty sure he's going to look wild as hell. Good night. Let me share the screen with this, right? 1 second. This is the Roman god Bacchus right here. Of course, their God always have to be naked. You understand? This is the Roman god Bacchus with a cup of wine, just getting drunk. He's drunk, he's naked, and that's what Carnival is about since the Romans. They appropriated, they not appropriated, what's the word again? They associated their lewd behavior with a drunken, naked god. You can't make this up. And this is what we take pride in, to say, well, it celebrates the emancipation of slaves. The Egyptians celebrated Carnival. We were slaves under the Egyptians. Show me where the Israelites celebrated Carnival under the Egyptians, or after being freed from Egypt, if it celebrates the emancipation of slavery. Right? The Greeks adopted that from the Egyptian after Alexander the Greek took over Egypt. We were there. This is in the book of Maccabees. Show me where we celebrated Carnival to celebrate our freedom from the Greeks in the book of Maccabees. Because I can show you where, when we revolted against Alexander the Greek, against Antiochus, we were scalped. We were boiled alive. Our appendages were cut off. A mother and her 7 sons were tortured and killed for just refusing to eat pork. We were forced to eat pork. The Greeks forced us to celebrate Carnival as well. How do you know? Because they forced us to adopt everything from them. And we asked for it. I ain't gonna hold you. Let me show you real quick, right? Here's it. First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 11. First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 11. In those days there went out of Israel wicked men. This is your Martin Luther King and all your coons that decide to join with their oppressor. All your Uncle Toms. Who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. You think you're miserable because you don't celebrate Carnival. The slaves from the 1500s, they were like, you know what? We're miserable. We can't celebrate Carnival. What? You're miserable because you can't party drunk and naked in the streets and be a homosexual? Guess what? You realize it was a mistake when the Greeks started killing you. And then you have the story of Judas Maccabeus, the reason why we celebrate the Feast of Dedication, Hanukkah, every year. To rededicate the temple to holiness, to recircumcise us, right? Meaning to separate us again from these filthy heathens. And you think you're miserable? What? Why are you miserable? You're miserable for not being a homosexual? Homosexuals are miserable today. They take their own lives. Salaki, good night. Imagine that. You think you're miserable because, you don't get high like everybody. You don't get to be a drunkard like everybody until you're hungover and then they take advantage of you. Now you feel real misery. You understand? And then the Romans were doing the most. And they dedicated, you know what? We're going to dedicate that lewd, drunken festival to our drunk, naked Roman god Bacchus. And this is where we got the word bacchanal from. Let me see if I can find a quick song real quick, right? Just to show y'all. I'm going to play the audio. I don't want a video of it because, good night. Benjamin, we do the most as if we never learned from our lesson in the book of Judges. What's the brother name again? It don't even matter, right? I'm going to pull up a quick song real quick. Y'all about to see, right?
It's a double shot. All a girl inside a van, make she bend and stick shit. Job like we don't give a damn. We mad and we sick. Juve money ringing bell, moving like we come from hell.
Do you hear the vibe of the music? The vibe and the spirit of music is to party. Well, this is how the Romans partied. The Greeks partied. The The Egyptians partied, worshiping Bacchus. They call it Bacchanal. And you hear the music, you feel like you want to dance, you want to party. Well, they're giving you the vibe of the worship of Bacchus. That's it. What do we do during Carnival? We drink, we dance in the streets. Listen, ain't nothing wrong with dancing, but the way they're gonna dance, listen, if you're not dancing like that only with your husband in the privacy of your home, you're a whore. And if you're out here gyrating, like, damn, as a man, not in public, half naked or not, I have to question your masculinity. And it doesn't matter if you're only doing it with these women, because I guarantee you that some of these women are not women. And even if they are, you are not the first crush that was on her. So, you understand? And we're going to get into some of the things that the brother was saying in the song, right? He said, job, job, and Juve morning, which we're going to get into as well, because all these, that is what we think is incorporated in Caribbean culture, right? Which is still observing Mardi Gras down in Louisiana, throughout Latin America, Brazil, Colombia, so on and so forth. It's all the same. It don't matter. Carnival, Juve morning, y'all don't even know where these come from, and you don't question it. I'm gonna tell you where it comes from. It comes from the goddamn devil the Bible speaks of, who brought it over there. And where did he get this from? Other heathens, Egyptians, Babylonians, Sumerians. You understand? Salaki, let's get back to the PowerPoint. Get any questions or comments, y'all put it in the chat.
So Salaki, I stepped away for a second.
Salaki, what did you say?
No, I said I had stepped away for a second. When you finish that, you finished with that right there, that picture that's on the screen?
We're getting back to it. I was just showing a sample of the music that we play during Carnival throughout the islands.
God.
But we're getting back to it, and we're gonna actually read again that slide. Unless you want to chime in real quick, I don't want.
Now I was gonna say, when you finish, can you look up the origins of Mardi Gras? And they're gonna show you. She'll show you the pictures I was telling you about.
Oh, Kawakan, yeah, you're jumping a couple slides already. Don't sweat, the Kawakan. So many centuries later, Alexander the Greek had conquered Egypt. The ancient Greeks adopted the festival, which is Carnival, right? Yeah, listen, the picture speaks for itself. There's even kids naked partying and drinking with the adults. That's what Carnival is all about. Salakia. The Romans copied the festival from the Greeks and called it Bacchanal, after the god Bacchus, and celebrated it with plenty of wine, dancing, song, and generally excessive behavior. That's y'all winding up and down each other, pasa, daggering, drinking. It doesn't have to be wine. Y'all, listen, we have the best strong in the world. It's called rum. And it goes over 100% sometimes. Y'all drunk out of your mind just being sexual deviants in the streets. Why? Because you copy after the Romans. Like, we fought tooth and nail, blood, sweat, and tear to separate ourselves from the Greeks after realizing the mistake of integrating with them, just to go back to doing whatever the hell we were forced to do under them. Imagine that. Y'all talking about the ancestors? The ancestors are looking down on you like, damn, you dumb idiots. Salaki. But real quick, Officer Mara wanted to look up the origins of Mardi Gras, which is really the same. Let me share this. You see if that's big enough on the screen. Zoom in a bit. So Mardi Gras, which is the French for Fat Tuesday, originated from medieval European traditions, blending ancient pagan spring fertility festivals like Roman Saturnalia with Catholic celebrations immediately preceding the Lenten fast. What did I tell you already? It's all about being a sexual deviant. Everything for our oppressor revolves around sexual deviancy and being a drunk junkie. Salaki. You understand? That's really what it is. French Catholics popularized it as a final indulgent feast before 40 days of fasting. French colonists brought the traditions to Louisiana in the 18th century. They carried that, I think, even before the 18th century. You understand? They carried even that in the Caribbean first. But for those who don't know, Louisiana was part of New France, right? Damn near 2/3 of Canada and the US under French rule before the Louisiana Purchase or something like that. I forgot exactly. But that's where it comes from. You understand? Arrival in America. French-Canadian explorer Jean-Baptiste Lemoyne, Sieur de Bienville, brought the tradition to Louisiana in 1699. By 1703, Mobile, Alabama had the first organized celebration. That's why y'all get it, from the French. While it began with quiet private balls in French Louisiana, which is where you had your masked ball, right? You know, or what they call a ballroom, which is where they had the festival, right? It evolved into massive public spectacles with parades, masks, and floats. Before it was private. Why? The slaves were not able to partake in these. That's why the slave couldn't partake in these. It was private for the slave masters only. You were not allowed in the ballroom. You understand? And then it evolved where it's public, and then the slaves could partake in it. The devils didn't care whether the slave partook in it or not. They like to see their slaves naked. They're not going to object. It has nothing to do with black people. The official colors, purple, which is not surprising. Purple, green, and gold were introduced in 1872. Yo, this is funny as hell. You know why? Because this is exactly the colors that the purple church called the IUIC are wearing. Purple, green, and gold. Imagine that. You wear the color of a festival that revolves around drunken sexual deviancy. Shalom. Damn. That is diabolical. IOIC, y'all need to do better. But we know already about your countenance. Salakia. You want to chime in out one? We could go back to the PowerPoint. Salakia, Officer Matabar. We'll go back to the PowerPoint. Anyone could ask any questions or comments in the chat. Officer Matabar will be right back. So we just read this one. So the Feast of Fools. The Feast of Fools was a popular festival. So basically Carnival after Bacchanal, over time, right? It kept not necessarily evolving, but they keep changing the name, right? We're going to see where it started being called Carnival as well. So the Feast of Fools was a popular festival in Europe during the Middle Ages. During this time, a mock bishop was elected and low and high officials changed places. Meaning if you're poor, you know, you could portray yourself as the people in charge. The people in charge would portray themselves as peasants, you know. If you're a woman of high stature, you could disguise yourself as a whore and vice versa. A whore could be a princess. That's really what it is. Now, if you had a fantasy of sleeping with a whore, you probably was sleeping with a princess and vice versa. You had the fantasy of sleeping with a princess, you were sleeping with a slut. And that's the Feast of Fools. You were just changing roles. And that's how, you know, the combination or not the combination or you know, the custom of dressing up for Carnival, right? People dress up as what they call devils. They put horns on their heads, they put masks, so on and so forth, right? They dress as really just things and creatures and peacocks, as we've seen. They put feathers on. Nothing in here. We didn't create anything when it comes to paganism. We just adopted it from the pagan heathens. That's it. You understand? Salakia. People wore animal masks and women's clothing, sang body songs, recited nonsensical speeches, and ran amok in the streets. The Feast of Fools was abolished in the 16th century, but the traditions of satire and ridicule remain a potent feature of many modern carnivals. And this is important to understand, right? Because especially in the island of Grenada, right? Let me see. Okay, in the island of Grenada. Let me share my screen right here. 1 second. Grenada is famous for this, right? The jab jab. Jab jab, by the way, which we get into, is just Creole for a devil, diable, devil, devil. That's what jab jab means. It's not a music. It just means devil, devil. And this is satire, right? The claim is satire. And the thing, they came up with this. They didn't. Since the Feast of Fools, there was a custom that was implemented of satire to dress, you know, like an animal, like a so-called, what they call a devil today, which is what you're seeing right now. They do that in Grenada. They put tar on themselves. They wear these helmets with devil horns. They parade in the streets, thinking of job job. Listen, what's the music again? Damn. I know all the songs. I know a lot of songs. They just say nonsense. And they're out here Carnival talking about saltfish and pick up a chair and just run around the streets. I'm not making this up. I'm telling you right now, especially as a Benjamite from the smaller islands, they do that. Let me show you Carnival. Damn, in Martinique, in some places in Martinique, men dress as women, women dress as men. And that's what we adopted from long time. Bear me one moment. You see this? Well, that's a devil, but nonetheless, it's the same. They claim this is satire. They dress like these, right? I didn't see the picture I was trying to show y'all, which is, it don't matter really. just believe me when I say some men dress as women. They wear skirts. They wear what you call it again? Wigs, right? See, they call it the vaval. The vaval, where they parade these floats, right? This is all throughout the Caribbean, Mardi Gras in Louisiana because of the French custom over there, so on and so forth. We adopted these customs from the heathens, whether it's in Brazil, in Trinidad, in Guadeloupe. You know, I think they do that in Colombia as well, Mexico. It's all the same culture that we adopted from the heathens. And the Lord told us not to follow after who? After the Egyptians. You understand? So let me get that precept real quick, right? Let's go to Leviticus chapter 18, verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, that's us coming out of Egypt. He told Moses to tell this to the Israelites. Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, I am the Lord your God. Verse 3. After the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt. Coming out of Egypt, we adopted a lot of their customs. Shall ye not do? You understand? And that includes Carnival. That includes what is known today as Bacchanal. After the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do, neither shall ye walk in their ordinances. One of their ordinances is what? Celebrate the winter solstice, bring in spring, summer, and whatnot. The Greeks adopted it, and they forced us under Antiochus to follow after them. Following after them is following after all the ordinances that they adopted from the Egyptians that we were forbidden to follow, which includes Carnival, Bacchanal under the Romans. You understand? The worship of a drunk, naked Roman god, Bacchus. That's it. We're not supposed to celebrate Carnival, you know, what they call in Louisiana Mardi Gras, which is French for Fat Tuesday. We're not. You understand? Salakia. But again, the satire, listen, you look up Grenada, St. Vincent, Trinidad, it's all the same, right? What's the name of the brother again? Let me show you an example of running amok in the streets, just doing nonsense, right? Because this is what we read, that people wear animal masks, you know, not just animal masks. They became creative with it, right? They do like in Grenada, they wear all types of masks or whatnot. And then they did what? They sang songs, they recited nonsensical speeches and ran amok in the streets. Let me give you a perfect example. Bear with me 1 second. This is a perfect example of what we're reading about from Carnival. Shalom says, Yahweh Shemala, Thaba Shem Yahweh Shai, thank for tuning in. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe, especially share. Everybody needs to know this. Our people need to know they should not celebrate Carnival ever again in their lives. So this is a perfect example of running amok in the street and singing nonsensical speeches. Whether it's Grenada, that brother I'm about to play, which is from St. Vincent, it's all the same.
Our party boy and fed up himself on the road, but therefore we come a road boy. Therefore we touch road. We don't want no fortune thing. Fortune thing, we don't want no fortune thing. Fortune thing, we don't want no fortune thing. Fortune thing, fed up at the fortune thing. We can't take no fortune thing, fed up at the fortune thing. Fortune thing, fed up at the fortune thing. We can't take no fortune thing, fed up at the fortune thing.
Now you see these brothers running with these torches. Imagine that. That was the same thing we adopted. Listen, we think, oh, we're Caribbean people, we're crazy or whatnot. Listen, maybe, but that aspect, right, of craziness does not come from us. We adopted running crazy in the streets, playing soca music, jab or whatnot from the heathens.
Prove it. Yo, crash. Man from Vinci. Tell the authority. Open up the gate and then go see. Anytime we touch roll, it's problem. Anytime we link up, it's problem. Anytime we drink rum, watch problem.
Yeah, we're still gonna stop right here, you know. Listen, at the end of the day, making songs like these and doing nonsense in these videos, listen, there is no head nor tail. There is no meaning in this video besides looking for a problem and just dancing in the streets like a hooligan. That's really what it is. You know, it doesn't make sense. As you read, it comes from some things were implemented over the years, such as, you know, the Feast of Fools. Really, they just put a name to it. The Romans were doing it. We just read it. The Romans were doing it. They were singing songs. They were dancing. They were getting drunk. This is what these brothers are doing in the islands. You know, and we just made it popular. Like, you think about Trinidad. What is Trinidad known for? Carnival, soca music. You know, that's it. The smaller islands were known for that. You know, and that's really it. But that doesn't come from us. You understand? That's another representation of what we just seen as the Feast of Fools, which is just a name they put on some of the practices from the worship of the Roman god Bacchus. Singing and reciting nonsensical speeches, running amok in the streets. Believe it or not, people will, you see, listen, go to the islands right now, they're running crazy in the streets. Wearing dresses, wearing nothing. Who cares? You know? And that's how it is. But we adopted that from the heathens, and we're told not to follow after the customs of the Egyptians. Whether it was rebranded or not, it's irrelevant. We're told to not follow after this custom that the Greeks adopted, which they forced us to follow in the Antiochus. We had to follow Greek customs. Part of this, damn near all of them were remixed from the Egyptians. And then what? Then the Romans. They just put a name to it. Bacchanal. You understand? And what we do today, we do the same thing. And what did the brother say again? He said, he looked for problems.
solve mystery. We living for the solve them. We problematic. Problem.
Listen, you see nonsensical things. What is the brother doing with a mattress dressed up like a construction worker? Another one has a torch on in his hand, running around the streets, getting drunk, playing music, saying nonsensical things. We just seen that's the Feast of Fools, or they just put a different name to the celebration of worship of the Roman god Bacchus. SHALAM, Carnival. The water for doing it. You understand? Let's get back to the PowerPoint. Salakia. Don't think, but again, is it wrong to listen to soca music? Listen, when I say listen to soca music, I listen to soca music. But you don't see me like that, parading like a fool with a mattress on my head, you know, saying nonsensical things. Salakia. Soca, bouillon, whatever it is, you know. Let me share the screen again. Damn, Salaki, 1 second. So again, the Feast of Fools, right, was a popular festival in Europe during the Middle Ages. During this time, a mock bishop was elected. A mock bishop meaning it was not a real bishop, right? And low and high officials changed places. People wore animal masks, women's clothing, sang bawdy songs, recited nonsensical speeches like I just gave you an example of, and ran amok in the streets. I just gave you an example of that. The Feast of Fools was abolished in the 16th century, but the traditions of satire and ridicule remain a potent feature of modern-day carnivals. Commedia dell'arte. Many years, the pagan festival was spread with Christian meaning to become Carnevale, which is where you get the word carnival from, a carnaval. Carne meaning meat, and vale, which is farewell in Latin. They let go of the meat. You telling me you're going to celebrate a festival that said you let go of the meat? And you're going to, shalom, salakia. In the 18th century Italy, people preparing to give up things for Lent like to dress up and disguise themselves and have fun, which is exactly what Carnival is about. You're going to disguise yourself, put on a mask, dance in the streets, and get drunk and have fun, right? A popular fancy dress theme was based on Commedia dell'arte, with characters such as Piero and Harlequin. Let me see. Let me get back to what Officer Madabar was trying to show y'all today. This is a perfect thing for a representation of Mardi Gras, right? There you go. So these costumes are what they're referring to, you know. Don't think Harlequin like the hero or with the villain, right? These costumes are what they're referring to from Commedia dell'arte, right? That's it. You see, good night. These are men. Damn, that's diabolical, you know. But that's where it stems from. All these costumes that you see in Carnival, that's where it started. Carnevale. See, kids are not spared. And don't be surprised because, you know, the Greeks, we know what the Greeks and the Romans were doing, right? But this is what they're talking about, these costumes from Commedia dell'arte, right? You understand? And what did they say? They say, what do you call it again? The Christians adopted the term or transformed the term to carnevale, meaning let go of the meat. Pause. Salakia. Let's get back to the PowerPoint. So Columbus and colonization. In 1472, Christopher Columbus sailed in search of India. We know it's a lie. India at the time was called Hindustan. So like, I'm not even sharing the PowerPoint. So it said Christopher Columbus sailed in search of India. That's a lie. And instead found Trinidad. That's another lie, right? I mean, even though they can't say they found Trinidad, which was already inhabited by the Arawaks and Caribs, but he was not looking for India. At the time, people knew where east, north, south, and west were. They knew India was in the east. India was not even named India at the time, it was named Hindustan. So, you understand? He called the Caribbean islands the West Indies. From then on, a steady stream of Europeans came to settle in the Caribbean and Latin America. The settlers brought with them slaves from Africa to work on the sugar plantations. They also brought Carnival. Understand this, Carnival, which really was official in the eyes of the Roman Catholic Church, most of them were Catholics. The Portuguese were Catholics. The French was Catholics. I think the only that was not Catholic was probably like what, the UK or England at the time. But France, Italy, Portugal, what else? Spain, all of them were Catholics besides like Britain with Protestants. They just, I think the only reason why they became Protestants, they protested. It was, I think it was Henry VIII. He just wanted to have a divorce and marry someone else. I think that's what it was. Don't quote me on that. I'll just double check with Officer 5000 Dam Gabar, right? But all these Catholics brought Carnivale or Carnival with them when it came to the so-called New World. This is how it spreaded from the islands to South and Central America, eventually to New France. Because even the Saint Jean or Saint John Baptist, which is celebrated in Quebec, it's the same exact thing. It's just a festival with fleur-de-lis, parading everywhere, right? The Grand Ball, which we were talking about earlier. And so it evolved in the New World. The plantation owners celebrated Carnival from Christmas to Ash Wednesday with parades on the streets and with indulgent fancy dress balls in in the European tradition. As I were reading earlier, slave masters had private ballrooms where they would having their parties. They were maxed up. You see, they were dressed like in the picture. Slaves were not allowed, right? They put on wigs and beautiful dresses and danced long in the night. That's what it was when they try to make, just like they try to make Christmas fancy, not about drunken sexual deviancy, just like they try to make Valentine's Day, it's about love and loving your spouse. We know it's about just being a disgusting deviant. They try to clean it up, but it didn't change what it was from the beginning. Whether or not they allowed the slaves to celebrate it. Because why? Because being slaves under the Greeks, we were forced to celebrate it regardless.
Right. It's a lot here.
Kawakan.
What you're saying is heavy because still to this day, they get dressed up, wear masks, get drunk, and have a goddamn freak off. Same thing. Right.
I'll show you pictures of Carnival, right? Let me see. I'm gonna show you a picture of good night. This is amazing. Like you really can't make this up. We're not telling you something that is made up or biased. Y'all can look it up on your own time. I'll show you pictures of Carnival. I'll show you the music. This is Mardi Gras in Louisiana. Didn't you see the exact same costumes? They're parading in the streets. Look at this devil. These devils always look like hooligans anyway. But you get the point. The floats. That's in Louisiana today.
I mean, they doing it all this month, all last month, January 6th, all until I think the 12th, 13th, or some shit like that this month. They doing the same thing.
So, let me see if I can zoom into this one. What we just read out one earlier about the Feast of Fools dressing like animals. This, whatever it is dressed as a crocodile or technically a gator because it's Louisiana. You think we're making this up? Listen, in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge under Commandant General YAHANNA, you get universal practical knowledge. We know world history. We're not making stuff up. Y'all can look it up on your own time. What we just read is happening right now. It's been happening last year, the 2 years before that, 10 years before that in Louisiana. Celebrate Mardi Gras every year.
For years out here, for years and years and years.
That's
it's like
slavery.
they said about the Bacchus thing. The Bacchus parade is one of their biggest parades out here.
Kind of what kind? And you see this? We're not making this up. That's the point. Lord be with that chicken in his hands. I don't know what he's going to do with it, but it's going to be diabolical. Salaki.
They got the Zulu parade out here where they throw the coconuts at you. People be getting hit in the head with coconuts and every goddamn thing. They be fighting over the coconuts.
You see this? This is a portrayal of Harlequin, the jester, whatever y'all call it in English, right? Harlequin. This is what it is. It's a celebration. Well, all of it is all of these other gods are gay, so are deviant, Salakia. But that's what it's all about. That's what it's revolving around. None but the celebration of drunken sexual deviancy and being a hooligan in the streets. And Mardi Gras Carnival is a perfect example of how really it damn near never changed. Right. Unlike Christmas, where they make it seem it's about family, or Thanksgiving, we just eating food, right? This damn near never changed. They do the exact same thing. They parade half naked in the street. They get drunk. They have orgies or they, all types of sexual deviancy, all types of sexual deviant acts, and they dress up as clowns and animals.
Even doing the parades out here, they throw beads. When you go on Canal Bourbon Street out here, they throw beads, and you'll have women that's on the top banisters out there flashing their goddamn titties and shit.
Good night. You know what it reminds me of? When I was in Ecuador, what was it now? It's been like 7 years I went to Ecuador. The first day, the next day, it was I think the anniversary of Ecuador. I was seeing parades. Like, what's going on? Oh, it's the anniversary of the country. They were throwing candies from rooftops. People dress. Let me see if I can find a quick video. I was like, well, damn. People dress as, I don't even know what you're dressing as at this point. Not that I care, right? I care for you that you should not do it. That's really it. Besides that, listen, Lord be with you. That's what I'm gonna tell you, right? Damn, I can't find it right now. It's somewhere. I'll probably make a clip of it, right? Because it's somewhere in my archives on my email.
I had noticed something you had said too. When you showed the jester, what you said the jester name was?
Harlequin.
If you look at Batman, who the Joker is? Harley Quinn.
Kind of what kind? Hey, SHALAM. Damn. Listen, everything around that revolves around our oppressor is always around paganism, and all their paganism is just get drunk and have sex. That's really what it is. And Carnival is like, do it openly in public. That's what it is. You understand? Salaki, let's get back to the PowerPoint. So canboulé, right? Canboulé, which is really a Creole term, which is can brûlé, like sugarcane can brûlé, burnt. That's what it means. So the slaves had their own traditions, which is a lie. We just think, oh, you know what? We're going to take theirs and make it our own. You cannot take the traditions of a heathen and make it your own. Were you going to take pork eating and make grillo and make fried pork and shitlins? Nah. Salakia. The slaves had their own traditions and held festivities around the burning and harvesting of the sugar cane known as can brûlé, anglicized as canboulé, which really means burnt cane, as burnt sugar cane. For each group, masks, mimicry, African drumming, and chanting were a key part of the ritual. It was the same thing the heathens were doing, putting masks, mimicry, satire, drumming and chanting, playing music. Like we think we could just take the culture of a heathen and make it our own. We can't. All culture is to be separate. It's to be holy. It's to be set apart. When we joined the heathens and Greeks, it says we were uncircumcised. To be circumcised is the foreskin of your male appendage is separated. If you're uncircumcised, it means you're reattached. We're not supposed to be attached to these heathens. You understand? We're supposed to be circumcised. We're supposed to be holy, set apart. What are we going to do about taking on the heathens and say, well, you know what? We're going to celebrate the fact that we're burning down the crops. We're going to put masks like they do. We're going to chant like they do. We're going to dance like they do. We're not supposed to do like they do. That's the point of being holy. Salakia. There were characters like Moko Jumbies, stilt walkers, which you still have today, and Jab Molasses Devils, which I just showed you about Grenada. I'm about to show you again. And stick fighting was played. From 1834, slaves were freed. Not everywhere, though, right? I think in Martinique was what, 44 or 48? I forgot. It's the same thing. From 1834, slaves were freed and joined in the Carnival, meaning before 1834, which, if I'm not mistaken, that's when the British ended slavery, right? Because the Haitians slaves were freed from 1804, just so y'all know. From 1834, slaves were freed and joined in the Carnival, meaning you were not allowed to celebrate, and you just joined in the parade after you were freed. What did you do? You joined in the oppressor who told you can't celebrate with us. Imagine that. Now they let you. Why do they let you still celebrate it? Because they don't mind seeing a whore, and they don't mind seeing an effeminate black man. They don't care about you. They're not going to tell you should dress up because there's predators lurking in the streets. Now you have your daughter being molested in broad daylight because she's half naked because she learned from her mom who learned from the oppressor. And then there's no man to protect them because all these men that are supposed to protect them are half homosexual, dressed like what, feathers on? Learning after our oppressor is the destruction of our people. Whichever part of the oppressor culture you adopt, it will destroy your people to the ground. Salakia. From 1834, slaves were freed and joined in the Carnival, but the authorities banned the drum, tambour bamboo, and ultimately the steel pan were invented to get around the ban. Let me show you again the Molassie Devils, which is what it is, especially popularizing Grenada, right? We do that throughout the smaller islands, but Grenada is famous for it. So these Molassie Devils, let me see if I could put Grenada job. That's better. So that's the Molassie Devil. They put molasses on and fucking tar and stuff like that. Not tar, but molasses. They cover their bodies with it. That's why they look black as hell. They put on a helmet with two horns on the side. It does represent the Molassie Devil, which is really popularized and they put chains around the neck to make it seem like, it's talking about the slaves or whatnot, right? Most of the pictures you're going to see about them is in Grenada because they made it the more popular, but it's throughout the islands. You understand? Now, let me show you the steel pan because we're famous for that, especially Trinidad. Bear with me 1 second. Damn, I just realized I was not even sharing my screen when I showed you the job. Salakia. So these are the Molassie Devils, Salakia, for the technical difficulties, which you're going to see throughout the islands, but mainly Grenada who made it popular, right? That's what they were talking about. They put on molasses. That's why they look black like that. Helmets with their horns on their head. Most of them you're going to see is going to be in Grenada, who made it popular, but that's throughout the islands, right? And of course, you have devils partaking in it. Don't be mad. It comes from them in the first place. Salakia. Now the steel pan. And get back to it. We got another video. Brenton Murray.
Brenton Murray. All right, man.
Man, listen, the salt of the earth. Black. Yeah, I said, damn, you can't make, listen, we're the salt of the earth. If the Jews are not black, they're definitely not white. That's all I know. You understand? But that we created that from scrap because they didn't want us to play drums and, you know, like I said, tambour bamboo, right? Which is basically bamboo drums. So the steel pan was invented to get around the ban of playing drums. And really, it's amazing that we invented this steel pan, but at the end of the day, we should still not partake in Carnival. It's not our culture. And our sisters is not dressed half naked. Matter of fact, let me bring that precept up real quick, right? What, Deuteronomy 23 and 17. Just this alone should let you know you should not celebrate Carnival. Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 17. There shall be no whore of the daughters of Israel. You should not be dressed half naked, jumping from rod to rod, treating, you know, rods as a stepping stone. Just because it's the culture. It's not the culture. It's their culture to be whores. And when you said the black woman is a whore because she followed after the white woman, Carnival is a perfect example. Stop following after these white women. The princess became a whore and the whore became a princess during Carnival. And you could fulfill your fantasy of sleeping with a princess. She was a whore. You wanted to fulfill your fantasy of sleeping with a whore. You were sleeping with a princess. You understand? When it comes to our daughters, our princesses, what? Deuteronomy 23 and 17. There shall be no whore of the daughters of Israel, nor a sodomite of the sons of Israel. You should not be half naked, with or without feathers on. You're probably dancing with a transgender. Anyways. And if you're not, you're still a sodomite, regardless. You should not be half naked out here. Like, how we expect our sisters to be protected? These men out here that's supposed to protect them are not men. They're homos. You understand? They're effeminate. They're not one West. They wear, what did we read earlier? They wear purple, green, and gold. And that speaks for itself. Salakia. Let's get back to the PowerPoint. Share my screen. So the Windrush, right? The Windrush is a generation after slavery that moved to the UK, right, for better quote unquote opportunities, which is really subjective. So in 1948, the Empire Windrush brought many Caribbean people to England to fill shortages in the labor market. Times were hard and racism was rife. Y'all look up, y'all go on I.S.U.P.K. United Kingdom, I.S.U.P.K. Britain, right? Officer Dam Gabar already made a exponential history class on the Windrush generation, right? So the Notting Hill Carnival was first held on the street in 1966 as an offshoot of the Trinidad Carnival, celebrating Caribbean culture and identity in London, which again, as we've seen since the beginning of the class, this is not Caribbean culture. It was brought by the Catholics, such as the French, the Spanish, the Portuguese in the Caribbean. Even before that, it was the Roman celebration of Bacchus called Bacchanal, which was a remix of the Greeks who took it from the Egyptians, but it's not our culture. So like many other carnivals, it has become divorced from its religious origins. Most UK carnivals are secular events that take place in the summer months. Like Officer Madabar saying, Louisiana, they celebrate from what, January 6th to mid-February. Carnival in the Caribbean is going to start February, March, April, May, June, July, August. August the 1st, Toronto is going to be packed up. Let me see if I could find you. If you don't believe that we do the exact same thing, they call it Caravana. Right? Let me see. Caravana Festival. There you go. Bear with me 1 second. Let me show you Notting Hill, and let me show you Toronto, right? This is Toronto every year.
Toronto's Caribbean Carnival celebrates its 58th year with a grand parade bringing music and movement back to the city.
We're having a blast!
Are you telling me that these men look masculine? They will make you believe that they're only here for the women. Look at these men holding on each other half naked with, what is this? Slovakia. About they're having a blast.
As the beat of soca music fills the air and unique and colorful costumes take over the streets.
Unique and colorful costumes. Didn't we read about that earlier? Like, you think we're just making it up. It's not our culture. We just don't want you to be whores. Not only don't we don't want you to be whores, but it is really not our culture. Like, we could give you 1,000 breakdowns where it's not our culture. We show you historical proof. Y'all look it up. Y'all just look up Bacchanal, the worship of the Roman god Bacchus. And still, every year, that's what they do in Toronto.
Shore has transformed into a...
From dancing to the rhythm.
Watch this.
From dance.
Let me rewind. What did we read, right? We just read earlier about, what you call it again? The Moko Jumbies, the stilt walkers. That's it right here. They're going to make you believe, well, it's our culture as slaves to reject the slave masters or mock them. No, it's not. The mocking aspect of it, the satire, is from even before the Feast of Fools, since the Romans. And we know that after the Roman Empire, during the so-called medieval ages or the Renaissance, they kept those pagan practices. You understand? You did not create anything new when it comes to carnival, my Benjamite people. We need to let go of that. It does not belong to us. You understand?
From dancing to...
Dancing in the streets, being hooligans. For those who don't know, a lot of them is just drunk right now, right?
The rhythm.
Dancing in the rhythm. Look at this sister right here. Listen, there is nothing covered.
To intricate costumes that tell a...
These costumes, good night.
Story.
Y'all look it up on your own time. Let me show you real quick. Notting Hill Festival. Y'all just look it up on your own time. I'm not making this up. This is England.
I don't know when you're gonna find food that's higher than
Listen, that same scene was way back then during the Roman Empire. If you think it's lewd to see sisters half naked, brothers half naked with like feathers and glitter on, imagine in the Roman Empire and the Greek, it was way worse. People were just naked in the streets. And this is what Carnival is all about. It has nothing to do with the emancipation of slaves. Slaves were not even allowed to celebrate Carnival. Damn. Probably only under the Greeks because they were forced to. Just like we were forced to eat pork under the Greeks, we were forced to adopt every aspect of their culture, whether they adopted it from the Egyptians or not. We were just forced to do what the Greeks did. We're not even allowed to profess ourselves as Jews or Israelites. And that's how we became Hellenized. That's what it says in Galatians, there's neither Greek nor Jew. The Greeks is talking about is the Hellenized Jews that adopted Greek customs, such as Carnival, which became Bacchus, Bacchanal, you parading half naked in the streets, in Notting Hill, in Toronto, in Montreal, in the islands, in Louisiana. It's all the same exact goddamn thing. It is of the devil the Bible speaks of. Let's get back to the PowerPoint real quick for time's sake. Salakia. Y'all look up the other carnivals if you like. Brazil, good, nice. Glory be with y'all. Bear with me 1 second. So that was the what you call it again? The Notting Hill Carnival, right? So the Rio Carnival in Brazil, which is the biggest carnival in the world, which takes place in February as pre-Lenten celebration. I'm not even going to show you Brazil. Listen, just so you know, these in the picture are kids. Yeah, don't be surprised. It was introduced to Brazil by the Portuguese in the 18th century. All these Portuguese, Spanish, French, they were all Catholics. They have all the pagan celebration of the Catholics, whether it's Christmas, La Navidad, Carnival, name it. All these Catholics brought Carnival to whichever land they colonized. Carnival samba is Brazilian music and dance with African influences, which is not African influences, but we know better, right? The biggest, let's skip a bit, the biggest parade are held in Sambadrome in Rio. Trinidad Carnival, right? The Trinidad Carnival is the biggest carnival in the Caribbean and takes place on Monday and Tuesday before Ash Wednesday. I think the first person you see in the line is a Coolie East Indian, by the way. There are many competitions and parties called fêtes, which is the French name for a party, in the run-up, as well as Kitty's Carnival on the Saturday and Juve from Canboulay on the Sunday. Juve or Jouvert is really a abbreviation of the term daybreak or jour ouvert, Juve, right, in Creole, which is really popularized by, again, the Grenadians. Let me see. Bear with me 1 second. Now we just hear words in Caribbean. What you call it again? We just hear words in Caribbean music and we're like, yeah, the fete. They don't even know where it comes from. Let me see if I could find one. Nah, listen, y'all look it up yourselves, right? I ain't trying to. This is not a party. This is a history class. So I can play music, you know. But this is where the word fete comes from. If you're Trinity talking about we going to fete, they're going to party. They don't even know that it is, you know, it's a Creole word from the French fete, which means to party, literally. Fete, right? So the four elements of Trinidad Carnival are song, music, costumes, and dance, which we see don't originate in Trinidad, right? Even the word Trinidad, it comes from the Spanish, Trinidad, who brought Carnival over there, which translates as Calypso, Soca, Steel Pan, Mas. You're going to hear that in a lot of Caribbean music. Talking about Mas is short for masquerade. And Jump and Wine, which is dancing, you know, the sister dancing, you know, waistline to waistline, right? In the Caribbean Carnival. But nothing originates in Trinidad or Brazil or in any other islands. It was brought by the devil. Again, New Orleans Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras is a French word for Fat Tuesday and culminates on Shrove Tuesday, the day before Ash Wednesday. Parades are organized by social clubs called crews, who build elaborate floats and throw beads. Listen, then Officer Matabar just brought that out to y'all. These devils show beads and show their nipples, Salaki, show their breast. And other favors to the crowd. Yeah, other favors, quote unquote, breasts. Associated with jazz bands, marching bands, and majorettes, unique characters includes baby dolls, wild Indians, and flambeau carriers. A flambeau is another word for a torch. It's a French word for a torch, right? Mardi Gras colors, purple, green, and gold, IUIC, Salakia, symbolize justice, power, and faith, which we know is they're far from that. But let me see if I could find, because there's a lot of videos that we see from brothers, right, that claim indigenous heritage. They say, oh, this is the majorettes. Listen, in French, a majorette is a cheerleader. Salakia. Let me see. Yeah, there you go. You're going to see that in Louisiana a lot. You see a lot of videos. This has nothing to do with anyone of indigenous descent. It don't matter if you're so-called, whatever skin complexion you have. It has nothing to do with the Seminole Indians, with any native tribe from Louisiana. This is from the oppressor. Damn. And we think it belongs to us. This is called native pride or Indian pride. It doesn't. You understand? Not Abbas said they really put dirt on their forehead on Ash Wednesday. Yeah, they do. And that's diabolical. And really, they put, besides dirt, they actually put ash to represent the dead. Good night. Listen, what do we do that is not really stupid? What is it? Wisdom of Solomon 13. Everything, all these pagan gods that we worship is dumb. It's stupid. Why, you worship a planet that you never probably seen in your life? Some of y'all don't even know about, is it astrology? The study of planet and stars. Not on the pagan aspect of it, but you don't even know there's planets outside besides Earth. And y'all worship Saturn, Saturnalia. Imagine that. A lot of y'all worship the moon. Y'all know nothing about the moon. You don't even know about the moon phases and whatnot, and you worship the moon. Especially you fake Israelites on the moons, on every different Sabbath or whatnot. You understand? Most of these pagan holidays, you worship a homosexual Roman god, and you think it's normal. But guess what? Especially Benjamites were the first to say, yo, being against that lifestyle, but then we're proud to celebrate Carnival. That's totally contrary to being against that lifestyle, just so you know. Let's get back to the PowerPoint. So like, for time's sake, I'll put the sign out links in the chat as well. So the Goa Carnival, listen, in India, they do the same in India. Just so you know, right? Another pre-Lenten carnival unique to India and India to Goa have been introduced by the Portuguese who ruled Goa for over 500 years. They do the exact same thing. Just keep in mind this, right? It's as simple as anything the heathens do, you don't do. It's as simple as that. Doesn't matter if it's the Asian eating rats. Doesn't matter if it's the East Indians doing their Goa carnival or wearing dreadlocks and bringing it to the Caribbean so you become a Rastafarian. Doesn't matter if it's carnival. You think it's just happy and singing songs, right? Just don't do what the heathens do. The parade is a portrait of cultural Goa as folk dancers depict a scene that is related to the history of Goa as well as current affairs. You can skip that. The Quebec Carnival, because Quebec over here, we have our own carnival. We have our carnival and we have the St. John right? I think it's right before Passover. No, right after Passover. So like, no, actually St. John is in summer, but it's still related to Carnival. So Quebec have their own Carnival in winter as well. That's the Quebec mascot. The giant and big heads. So quintessentially a European carnival genre seen especially in Spain and Portugal, Catholic countries, but also evident in other carnivals where European settlers have introduced the art form of the famous Olinda Carnival in Brazil, which was colonized by the Portuguese Catholics. Chester in the UK hosts a parade of giants within its Midsummer Watch parade. Why? Because despite them rejecting Catholicism for being Protestant, however you pronounce it, right, Salakia. Part of the UK was ruled by the Roman Empire. Therefore, they still had some of the Roman practices. As you can see, and that's going to be the end of it. The point is this: Carnival is not our culture. It's not. It belongs to the heathens, from the Egyptians, which was adopted by the Greeks, which was adopted by the Romans. They put a name on it. Bacchanal, the worship of the Roman god Bacchus, a drunken homosexual. And then, you know, throughout the ages, it was changed to the Feast of Fools, you know, Carnivale, which is where you get the word carnival from. They brought Fat Tuesday, which is the proper term for Mardi Gras, which is just the French version. At the end of the day, the Bible says you should not follow after the heathens. Envy thou not the oppressor and choose none of his ways. That's in Proverbs chapter 3, verse 31. What did we do? The slaves envied their oppressor. They wanted to party. They wanted to drink. You know, it was not enough for us to have learned our lesson under the Greeks. We envied the Greeks and wanted to be like them. We joined them to the point where they started killing us, forced us to eat pork, forced us to celebrate everything they were celebrating, which includes Carnival. We revolted. Mosiah in Christ to the brothers such as Judas Maccabeus. We have the Feast of Hanukkah. And then it was not enough to understand that we should not celebrate, you know, fall out to the oppressor. We went back and doing it. The Sadducees, the Pharisees, you today, Martin Luther King, all these slaves that said, you know what, we could finally celebrate Carnival. Let's name it Kanbule and Jab. And what else? Everything that you think that you made up, which you really didn't, because they did first. It comes from our oppressors. Whether it's the devils, whether it's the Africans, it don't matter. You should not follow after any oppressor, any heathen. You should be holy. You should be separate, set apart. And that's the point. With that said, we're going to end the class right here. Officer Madabar, would you like to say anything before we clip it? I think Officer Madabar might be away. The water for everybody who tuned in the class. We're going to get the security announcements, right? You understand? There's nothing wrong in, if you want to listen to soca music, listen to soca music, right? Just like if you want to listen to gangster rap, listen to gangster rap, you know. But don't be shaking your ass, Shalaka, shaking your backside half naked in the streets, parading with a mask on, getting drunk out of your mind, and talking about jab and fet and kanbule and this and that. Don't do that. You understand? I don't want to. Listen, Lord be with you if we see you out here celebrating Carnival. You better not complain about black women not being protected in Carnival. You better not. Because you should just not, listen, Carnival or not, you should not be half naked outside. And if you wait for that specific season to be half naked outside just dancing, some of y'all only wearing body paint. And then you're going to talk about black women not being protected. Stay home. You want to wear body paint and be half naked? Be half naked for your man in the privacy of your household. For your men and your men only. Not for nobody else. And that's it. You understand? With that said, we're going to end the class right here. For everybody who tuned in, we're going to get a security announcements. And we'll see each other for the Brotherhood class this Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be about love. Not the love that you think you're going to give your spouse on Valentine's Day, but real love. With that, Shalom Yabasha Shabakatam to all the brothers, Yahweh Shemal Atam Bashim Shai to all the sisters, and priest officer 500 Barak Yalla. Get a security announcements and then close out the class. Shalom Israel. So we are the I.S.U.P.K, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General YAHANNA. Rule for new brother and sisters: when a new brother or sister comes into the school, they're off limits for 6 months. They're to be saluted only. They're here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers chapter 18, verse 21, and Malachi chapter 3, verse 8 to 10. Means tenth in the Hebrew, ma'ashara. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Give to the Treasury Department a teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory, whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocation, you have Purim, which is the 14th day and the 15th day of the 12th month, which falls on Monday, the 2nd of March, and Tuesday, the 3rd of March, 2026. You can read more about it in the book of Esther, chapter 9, verse 20 to 31. Reminder to all Akyam wa Akwathian, meaning brothers and sisters, to check the bulletin board in the hallway of their school, and if anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black, boots, shirts, pants, headband, and scarf. But that's how we give a courtesy salute to the brothers and a courtesy salute to the sisters. Menavijal Imajim, which means to stand. We'll give a courtesy salute to the brothers. Menavijal Imajim Shabbat, Imajim, Barak, Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai Brakatam, mean Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, bless y'all. Yajamata, which means hands down. Sar, which means to turn. Turn and face the sisters if you have any in your presence. We'll give them a courtesy salute as well. Menavijal Imajim Shabbat, Imajim, Barak, Yahweh Shamar, Alatan Bahasham Yahweh Shai, mean Yahweh, watch over y'all in the name of Yahweh Shai. Yajamata, class dismissed. Shalom, we'll see you next Thursday. Shalom.
Yeah. 1 West. I'm sorry, me need a break, I'm sorry. We work hard in a life, hustle every day and all in a night. Man a hunt for the goal and a dig it in a road and a live no life. I'm sorry, me need a break, I'm sorry. Right now me a seek time for myself and me a shell down some party. Me stress, me a look for a recess. For me brain me a refresh. This a game me a reset. Move to the girl in a the beach dress. The body a roll she a the neatest. She nah no man, nah that a the weakness. So me the in her ears but not like a real pest. Nah, just a move with a vibe. Because we a poor, the mood is alive. If you do 9 to 5 I know you a get rich, you do realize. I'm sorry, me need a break, I'm sorry. Right now we a poor, kulu rump on Tennessee with Campari. That is it. Move to the girl, the body tick. What is it? You know see me attack low the politics. Watch it twist. No one see no ratchet flick, no matic click. No negative energy, a positive. 1 West I keep the peace and no magic trick. We a dance till the night gone. We a groove, we a vibe. I no care, no fear right off. Make it home with your life. Me say, me no want see you leave yet. Me no want see you depressed. We a party for de-stress. We work hard in a life, hustle every day and all in a night. Man a hunt for the goal and I mash up the road and not live no life. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Me stress, me a look for a recess. For me brain me a refresh. This a game me a reset. Move to the girl inna the peach dress. The body a roll, she a the neatest. She nah no man, so that a the weakness. So me the inna it here, that a no real test. Nah.
He parted the Red Sea, and the entire nation of Israel walked out of slavery.
The I.S.U.P.K. presents the Lord's 57th annual Passover, April 4th, 2026 in Houston, Texas. You do not want to miss this one, Israel. Shalom.
Hey, listen, brothers and sisters, man. If you like what you hear, hit the subscribe button, man. Subscribe to this channel. And also, please, go to isupk.com and pay your tithe. Drop me some cash so we can move around this planet like we need to, man, and do the things we need to do.
They're one West.